The bridge of the UES Pathfinder hummed with quiet tension. Captain Hannah Park stood at the command station, her eyes fixed on the main display. The stars looked different out here, beyond the protective shield of humanity's remaining worlds. For 3 centuries, no human vessel had ventured this far into the darkness. "Status report," Hannah said, her voice steady despite the weight of their mission. Her second-in-command, Commander Ta Kim, approached with a data tablet. "All systems nominal, Captain. The drive core is stable at 87% efficiency." Hannah nodded. The Pathfinder was humanity's latest achievement, a warship built from recovered blueprints and adapted technologies. It represented everything they had left. Knowledge preserved through the Great Collapse, resources pulled from dying industries, and the stubborn hope that humanity might someday reclaim its place among the stars. "Any sign of the beacon network?" Hannah asked. Ta shook his head. "Nothing yet. If the old Federation relay stations still exist, they've gone silent." Before the collapse, humanity had spread across 57 star systems. The United Earth Federation had been a major power, respected, and sometimes feared. Now they controlled just 4 planets in a single system. Everything else was lost. Colonies abandoned, outposts destroyed, ships disabled when the quantum communication network failed. "Captain," called Jun Song, the ship's sensor operator. His voice carried an unusual edge. "I'm detecting an anomalous signal." Hannah moved to his station. "Source: the Vega system. It's using old Federation protocols, military-grade distress coding that hasn't been used in over 300 years. A hush fell over the bridge. The Vega colony had been one of the first to go dark during the collapse. "It could be a trap," Ta said quietly, "or a malfunction in some ancient automated system. Or survivors," Hannah countered. "People who've been waiting centuries for rescue." The display showed the signal's origin, a point of light that had once been home to millions of humans. Vega had been a jewel in humanity's crown, a hub of science and culture. Its silence had marked the beginning of humanity's retreat from the stars. "Plot a course," Hannah ordered. Ta stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Captain, our orders were to perform reconnaissance only. We're the last warship Earth has. If we're lost, then they'll build another," Hannah said firmly. "The signal uses authentication codes only Federation officers would know. Someone might be alive out there, Commander, or at least something of ours remains." Ta hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, Captain." Setting course for the Vega system. As the Pathfinder changed direction, Hannah returned to the command chair. She knew the risks better than anyone. The Pathfinder carried the best weapons Earth could produce, but they were untested against whatever might wait for them. The universe had changed in humanity's absence. "Message from Earth Command," reported Min Choi, the communications officer. "They're requesting confirmation of our course change." Hannah touched the response control. "Tell them we're investigating a Federation distress signal. Request permission to proceed." The minutes stretched as they waited for a reply. The light delay meant communications were slow, even with their improved systems. Finally, Min looked up. "Message received. Command says," she paused, "they say proceed with caution, but the decision is yours, Captain Park. You're too far out for us to micromanage. Trust your instincts." Hannah felt the weight of those words. Earth was giving her freedom to choose, but also placing the responsibility squarely on her shoulders. "Time to Vega?" she asked. 3 days at maximum safe speed," replied the navigator. "Make it so," Hannah ordered. As the Pathfinder accelerated, she studied the crew around her. Most were young, born generations after the collapse. They knew of humanity's former glory only through historical records and stories told by their grandparents. To them, this mission wasn't just exploration, it was reclamation of their birthright. That night, alone in her quarters, Hannah reviewed the signal data again. The authentication codes were genuine, belonging to a high-ranking admiral from the old Federation. But the signal itself was strange, repeating in patterns that seemed almost deliberate. as if trying to communicate something beyond a simple distress call. Whatever awaited them at Vega would change everything. Either they would find evidence that humanity wasn't as alone as they feared, or they would discover what had happened to their ancestors who vanished from history. Either way, the Pathfinder would carry the answer back to Earth, and humanity would take its first real step toward returning to the stars. The Pathfinder dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a shudder. Through the main viewport, the crew saw their destination, a massive space station shaped like a wheel, slowly turning around a star that glowed an unhealthy red. The station's outer ring was broken in several places, and parts of its structure floated nearby it as debris. "Life signs?" Captain Hannah asked, leaning forward in her chair. Jun shook his head. "None that I can detect, but there is power, minimal, but steady." "The signal is coming from the central hub," Min added. "It's definitely Federation code." Hannah studied the station. Once called Vega Prime, it had been the pride of human expansion, a trading post where millions lived and worked. Now it hung silent, a ghost haunting the edges of human memory. "Prepare a boarding team," she ordered. "I want to know what happened here." 4 hours later, Hannah led a team of 6 through the station's main docking bay. Their magnetic boots clanked against the metal floor as they moved through the darkness, their helmet lights casting long shadows. "The air is thin but breathable," reported Subin, the team's engineer, checking her scanner. "Gravity is at 30%. Some systems are still working." They passed through empty corridors where plants had somehow survived, growing wild across walls and ceilings. Signs in English and other human languages marked paths to places called Central Market and Administration. "Look at this," called Ta, who had stopped at a wall panel. His light illuminated a series of deep gouges in the metal. "These aren't from age or accident." Hannah ran her gloved hand along the marks. "Weapons fire. Someone attacked this place." They continued deeper into the station, finding more evidence of violence. Blast marks on walls, broken doors forced open, empty weapon mounts where defense systems had been removed. The central control room was in better condition than the rest of the station. As they entered, lights suddenly activated, and a voice spoke from hidden speakers. "Human life signs detected. Authentication protocols engage." A hologram flickered to life in the center of the room, a figure shaped like a human woman, composed of blue light. "I am ARIA, Administrative and Residential Intelligence Assistant, Vega Prime Station," the hologram said. "Welcome back, humans of Earth. You have been absent for 312 years, 47 days, 6 hours. Hannah stepped forward. "I'm Captain Hannah Park of the UES Pathfinder. We received your distress signal." The eye's face showed what looked like relief. "The signal worked. I have maintained it for centuries, hoping someone would return." "What happened here?" Tai asked, gesturing to the damaged station. Aria's expression changed to sadness. After the collapse and the failure of the quantum network, Vega Prime was isolated. For 30 years, we maintained operations, hoping Earth would reestablish contact. Then the visitors came. The hologram waved a hand, and the walls displayed images of strange ships, designs no human had ever seen. The first were curious explorers, amazed to find advanced technology apparently abandoned. They traded fairly, but others followed with less honorable intentions. The images changed to show creatures boarding the station, some insect-like, others reptilian, a few almost human in appearance. They came in waves over the centuries, Aria continued, first to trade, then to take. The final human residents were evacuated to the colony below, but contact was lost 80 years after the collapse. And the damage to the station? Hannah asked. Multiple species fought for control. The Drac claimed it first, then the Velian Confederation. The last battle was between forces I cannot identify. They took what they wanted and left. Aria's voice grew softer. But that is not the worst of what I've learned through monitoring their communications. Humanity's legacy is being erased. The AI displayed new images, alien worlds using clearly human technology, but with the human writing and symbols replaced. The Velians now claim they invented faster-than-light travel. The Dracs say the medical regeneration technology was their discovery. The City Alliance has rewritten historical archives to show humans as violent primitives who destroy themselves. Hannah felt cold anger rising. They're stealing our history. Yes, Ariah said. In your absence, your achievements are being claimed by others. Your colonies have been occupied. Your people who survived have been subjugated or forced into hiding. Have you maintained the station's database? Ty asked. Ariah nodded. Everything is intact. I hid the most valuable data when the raids began. I can transfer it all to your ship. Hannah looked at her team, seeing the shock and anger on their faces behind their helmet visors. We came looking for the past, she said quietly. Instead, we found a future that needs correcting. She turned back to Ariah. Show us everything you know about these aliens who've been taking what isn't theirs. It's time they learned that humanity isn't extinct after all. The war room aboard the Pathfinder was silent as Captain Hannah finished reviewing Ariah's data. 5 senior officers sat around the table, their faces grim in the blue light of the holographic display. The Velians have taken 7 of our former colonies, Hannah said, pointing to marked star systems. The Drac hold 4. And 3 more species we know nothing about have claimed others. But they've distorted the historical record, Ty added. According to what they teach their people, humans were dangerous savages who barely achieved spaceflight before destroying themselves. Jun Song, the sensor operator, leaned forward. Captain, I'm detecting approaching ships. 3 vessels on an intercept course with the station. Identification? Hannah asked. Matching Ariah's database. They're Velian patrol ships. Hannah's mind raced. The Pathfinder had been built for exploration and reconnaissance, not combat. They were supposed to gather information and return to Earth. Running now was the safe choice. How long until they reach us? She asked. 20 minutes at their current speed. Hannah made her decision. Battle stations. We're not running. The officers exchanged glances. Ta spoke first. Captain, our orders. Our orders were to find out what happened to humanity's legacy. Hannah cut in. Well, now we know. It's being stolen piece by piece. If we run home now, the Velians will strip this station of everything that remains and continue their lies. Some truths are worth fighting for. 10 minutes later, the Pathfinder had moved to a position behind the station's broken outer ring. The crew was tense but ready. The Velian ships are hailing the station, Min reported from communications. Let them think it's abandoned, Hannah replied. Ariah will keep quiet until we need her. The 3 alien ships approached slowly, their designs sleek and predatory. They were twice the size of the Pathfinder, their hulls covered in what appeared to be weapon ports. They're deploying boarding shuttles, Jun reported. 2 heading for the main docking bay. Hannah nodded. Just as Ariah predicted, they come regularly to salvage more technology. She turned to the weapons officer. June, target their main ship's engines only. We don't want to destroy them, just trap them here. The first boarding shuttle had just entered the station when Hannah gave the order. The Pathfinder swung out from behind the debris field, energy weapons charging. Fire. Precision beams struck all 3 ships simultaneously, targeting their propulsion systems with surgical accuracy. The Velian vessels jolted, their lights flickering. Direct hits on all targets, Jun reported. Their engines are disabled. Now they can't run either, Hannah said. Min, open a channel to all Velian ships and to the boarding parties inside the station. The communications officer nodded. Channel open, Captain. Hannah stood straight, her voice clear and controlled. This is Captain Hannah Park of the United Earth Federation Warship Pathfinder. You have entered human territory and are attempting to steal human property. Your ships have been disabled. Your boarding parties are now trapped inside a station controlled by us. There was silence, Then a burst of alien language came through the speakers. "They're demanding to know who we are," Min translated. "They say humans are extinct." "Send them visual," Hannah ordered. The main screen showed a Velian officer, humanoid but with gray skin and large eyes. He stared in apparent shock at the human crew. "This is impossible." The translation of his words appeared on screen. "Humans died out centuries ago. Reports of our extinction were greatly exaggerated," Hannah replied. "Aria." Now, throughout the station, hidden systems activated. The Velian boarding parties suddenly found themselves trapped as security doors sealed. Inside the control room, Aria's hologram appeared before the alien commander. "I am transferring historical records to your ships," Hannah continued. "These contain irrefutable proof of humanity's achievements, including faster-than-light travel, which your government claims to have invented. These records also document the systematic theft of human technology by Velian forces over the last 3 centuries." The alien commander's expression was unreadable, but his voice sounded shaken. "These are lies. The records include your own people's communications, captured and stored by this station's AI. Your ancestors knew the truth. Your leaders have hidden it." For the next hour, the Pathfinder maintained position while the Velians received the data. Eventually, the commander requested to speak privately with Hannah. "If what you say is true," he said, "this will cause chaos in our society." "The truth often does," Hannah replied. "But we're not here for revenge. Humanity has returned to reclaim its place among the stars, not to punish those who thought we were gone." When the conversation ended, Hannah ordered repairs to the Velian ship's engines, just enough for them to return home. "Let them go," she told her crew. "Let them take our message back." As the alien ships departed, communications channels across nearby systems lit up with urgent messages. The impossible had happened. Humans, the legendary species whose technology had shaped the modern galaxy, had returned. And they had receipts. 3 days after the confrontation with the Velians, the Pathfinder's communication system was overwhelmed. Messages poured in from dozens of worlds and ships throughout the sector. Some threatened war against the human imposters. Others begged for confirmation that Earth had truly returned to the stars. Another delegation requesting to meet, Captain, Min reported, looking exhausted. She hadn't left her station in nearly 20 hours. They identify themselves as the Telexi. Aria's records show they were a minor trading partner with humans before the collapse. Hannah nodded, studying the star map that now filled the bridge's main display. It showed the political boundaries that had formed in humanity's absence, empires and confederations that had carved up what was once human space. "Tell them we'll meet at coordinates we'll transmit separately," Hannah said. It was the same careful response she'd given to the 4 other species who had requested meetings. Trust was a luxury they couldn't afford. Tai approached with a tablet. "Intelligence summary, Captain. Based on the communications we've intercepted, the galaxy is dividing into 3 camps. Those who fear our return, those who welcome it, and those who don't believe it's really happening. And the major powers. The Velian Confederation has gone silent officially, but their military channels are active. The Drak Empire has issued a statement calling us imposters using stolen technology. 3 smaller alliances have expressed cautious interest in diplomatic relations." Hannah sighed. 1 warship. That's all Earth had sent, never expecting to find this complex political landscape. The Pathfinder was designed for reconnaissance, not starting a galactic revolution. "We need allies," she said finally. "And we need advantages they don't know about." In the station's engineering section, Jin Lee worked tirelessly. The young engineer had found a treasure trove of advanced technology that had been hidden from the alien salvagers. For 3 days, he had barely slept, examining and adapting what he'd discovered. "Captain, you need to see this," Jin said when Hannah entered his makeshift lab. He pointed to a device on the workbench, a small cylinder with intricate patterns etched into its surface. "What am I looking at?" Hannah asked. "The reason the Velians kept coming back to this station," Jin replied, his eyes bright with excitement. They knew something was here, but they couldn't find it. Auraria kept it hidden in a shielded compartment. And what exactly is it? A quantum entanglement communicator, instantaneous communication across any distance. The Federation had just perfected it before the collapse. When the network failed, this technology was lost. Hannah's eyes widened. Can you make it work with our systems? Jin nodded. Already have. But that's not all. He pointed to schematics on a nearby screen. I found designs for shield technology that's 3 generations beyond what the Pathfinder has, and weapon systems that could give us an edge against anything the Velians or Drak might send our way. How quickly can you implement these upgrades? With ARI's help and the station's fabrication systems. A week, maybe less. The first diplomatic meeting took place the next day in a neutral location, an abandoned mining outpost halfway between Vega and Talexi space. The Pathfinder arrived first, scanning for traps before Hana, and 2 officers took a shuttle to the surface. The Talexi were small, 4-armed beings with iridescent skin. Their ambassador bowed deeply when Hana entered. The legends were true. The Talexi said in halting English, "Humans have returned." "We never truly left," Hana replied. "But we're ready to reclaim our place now." The Talexi straightened. "The Velians have oppressed our worlds for generations. They use technology they don't understand, your technology, to maintain their power. If humans have truly returned, many worlds would stand with you." Similar meetings followed with representatives from the Morrigan Collective, the Free Worlds of Centauri, and the Solace Compact. Each told similar stories of the major powers using stolen human technology to dominate and exploit. By the end of the week, Hana had formed what she called the Restoration Alliance, 7 species who recognized humanity's rightful claims and saw benefit in aligning with Earth's return. None had significant military power, but collectively they controlled key resource worlds and trade routes. "It's a start," Hana told her officers. "But the Drak and Velians won't stay quiet for long." As if on cue, Jun called out from his station, "Captain, long-range sensors detecting multiple ship formations. The Drak Empire has mobilized their 3rd fleet. They're heading toward human colony worlds." Hana's expression hardened. "They're testing us, seeing if we'll defend what was once ours." She turned to Jin. "Are the upgrades ready?" The engineer smiled. "Just completed them. The Pathfinder now has capabilities they can't imagine." "Good," Hana said, returning to her command chair. "Because they think they're hunting a ghost from the past. It's time to show them that humanity's future is going to be their problem instead." The planet Novoterra hung like a blue-green jewel in space. Once the pride of human expansion, it now bore the scars of alien mining operations. Vast pits carved into its surface, visible even from orbit. Drak mining facilities dotted the northern continent, extracting resources that had once belonged to humanity. The Pathfinder emerged from hyperspace at the head of a small but determined fleet. 7 ships from the newly formed Restoration Alliance followed Captain Hana's vessel, a modest force compared to what they would likely face. "Tactical assessment," Hana ordered, studying the planet below. Drak defenses include 3 orbital platforms and approximately 20 patrol vessels, Jun reported. Ground installations are extensive. Ta stepped closer to Hana's command chair. "Captain, even with our allies and upgrades, this will be difficult. The Drak will send reinforcements once they realize we're here." "That's what I'm counting on," Hana replied. She turned to communications. "Min, broadcast on all frequencies the message we prepared." Throughout the system, communication channels came alive with Hana's voice, speaking in multiple languages. "This is Captain Hana Park of the Earth Federation. Novoterra is a human world illegally occupied by Drak forces. We have returned to reclaim what is ours. All non-human military forces are ordered to withdraw immediately." The response was swift. Drak patrol ships moved to intercept, weapons charging. "They're responding as expected," Ta noted grimly. "Hold position," Hana ordered. "Wait for it." The first shots came from the Drak fleet, energy weapons lancing toward the Pathfinder and its allies. But the upgraded shields Jin had installed absorbed the attack without strain. Now, Hannah commanded. Targeted strikes only. The Pathfinder's new weapons systems engaged, firing precision beams that disabled rather than destroyed. 3 Drak ships lost power simultaneously, drifting helplessly. Their allies followed suit, targeting the orbital platforms with similar precision. Then something unexpected happened. From the planet's surface, ancient defense systems suddenly activated. Installations the Drak had never discovered or had dismissed as inoperative. Automated laser batteries emerged from hidden bunkers, targeting Drak ground facilities with pinpoint accuracy. "Captain," Min called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the surface. It's in English." A voice crackled through the speakers. "This is Governor Elena Voles of the Novo Terra Resistance. We've been waiting 300 years for this day. Humanity lives on this world, hidden from our oppressors. We're activating all remaining defenses to support your operation." The bridge crew stared in stunned silence. Humans had survived here, maintaining their identity and technology in secret for generations. "Adjust the plan," Hannah said, quickly recovering. "Jin, transmit the holographic projection codes to the surface resistance. If they have access to the old defense network, they can help us create the illusion." Within minutes, the space around Novoterra seemed to warp and shift. Holographic projections, a technology Jin had discovered in the station's archives, created the appearance of dozens of additional warships emerging from hyperspace. To the Drak sensors, it looked like an entire human armada had arrived. At the same moment, sensors detected a massive Drak fleet approaching, the reinforcements Hannah had anticipated. "A holographic fleet is in position," Jin reported. "Their sensors will register these as real ships with power signatures." "Broadcast the final message," Hannah ordered. Min opened the channel, and Hannah spoke directly to the approaching Drak command ship. "This is your only warning. We have activated the full Novoterra defense grid, which your forces never discovered. We have reclaimed our advanced technology, which your people have been struggling to understand for centuries. And we have returned in force." To emphasize her point, the Pathfinder fired a single shot, a concentrated beam that sliced through the Drak flagship's primary weapon array with surgical precision, leaving the rest of the ship intact. "Your choices are simple," Hannah continued. "Withdraw from all human worlds and open diplomatic relations, or face a war you cannot win. Humanity didn't fall because we were weak. We fell because we were temporarily divided. That time has passed." Hours later, after tense negotiations, the Drak fleet retreated. Similar messages reached the Pathfinder from other sectors. The Velians and smaller powers were requesting peace talks, suddenly eager to welcome humanity back as equals rather than face them as enemies. 3 weeks after the Battle of Novoterra, Hannah stood on the Pathfinder's bridge watching as ships from Earth appeared in the distance, the first wave of a new human expansion, responding to the quantum communications Jin had reestablished. Her communication panel chimed with a private message from Earth Command. "Mission accomplished, Captain Park. 1 warship was all we could spare, but it was all we needed, not to conquer, but to remind the galaxy who we truly are. The rest of the fleet is coming. The stars are ours again, not through force, but through the respect you've restored to the human name." As Hannah looked out at the growing fleet of Earth ships joining the Pathfinder, she knew that humanity's return to the stars would be different this time. Wiser, more balanced, and mindful of the mistakes of the past. They had come full circle, from legends believed extinct to a force that would help shape a better future for all species.